tuning in. It's your girl, Brittany Harris. Today's show again is why Team Pintard. We have a special guest, Roscoe Thompson out of Abaco. Introduce yourself, Roscoe. Say a little something.
Hey, I'm Roscoe Thompson. Most of y'all know me. I'm the chairman for the Marsh Harbor Spring City Township, and I'm also the newly elected chairman of the Central South Abaco F&M Branch Association here in Abaco.
Good. Welcome. All
Thank you.
right. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said thank you.
Okay. All right. So, let's jump right into it. Roscoe, why Michael Pintard? Why Team Pintard?
And this is a question I've been asked, and I have to elaborate on it a little. His dynamic leadership and what he has shown over the past 2 years, not just in the House of Assembly, but throughout his speaking engagements and what he's doing. A lot of people don't know this, but I did support Hiram Lewis and Adrian White in the last, in 2021, in regards to that. Michael has shown to me, like I said, in these last 2 years, what he's done. And I even go back to when he was the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, what he did for the fishermen here in the Bahamas. I can go into that, even with youth sports and culture, and how he promoted our junior junk canoe when we traveled to Nassau. So it's his new style of leadership that has really sold me, and I have bought into in regards of moving this country forward. And as you know, we need new leadership, somebody that is willing to bring not just F&Ms, but Bahamians back into the fold and let them have a say. And when I say Bahamians, I mean from all walks of life.
Mm-hmm. So not just F&Ms, but everyone.
Not everyone. And I respect that. I mean, he's really shown that. Even of our engagement here the other night in Central South Abaco, it was really nice to hear that be reiterated of what his plans are, and him not just focusing on his party, but on Bahamians in general. And that's a big sell, because I'm a big community minded person, and I like to get input from my community of what's going on. And that's one thing that I've seen from him. He has never turned down a phone call from me. He's always answered me. He's responded to me, and he's just shown the respect. And where respect is due, I give respect back.
Okay, I have a question. You said something you said really ding to me. So you said you supported Hiram Lewis in the 2021 convention for leader. So well, that's amazing. So there's been a lot of talks that Michael Pintard has blacklist persons that ran against him or supported persons that did. So it's for you to say that, I openly say I supported Hiram Lewis, and then to say, there's been no bad blood, no blacklisting from the leader. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that I know people are gonna, we all have our opinions, but I've seen the olive branch in his part, in some of our meetings, opening up and saying, hey, and reaching out to the other leader or the former PM, and saying, hey, let's work together. I know we're in a tight battle right now. We're in a race, but if you reach out and you extend that olive branch, but that other person doesn't take it, it makes it very difficult,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, happy to hear that. So, all right, next question. So I've heard you multiple times, and if you guys don't know, Roscoe Thompson is in my Voice Your Opinion WhatsApp group, so we communicate on a daily basis. Now, I've heard you in there multiple times say that if Dr. Minnis leads the F&M, the F&M will not be successful in gaining Abaco.
Yeah, and I think that too.
Explain, break it down for me.
I'll break it down. I will say, if by chance he does win this upcoming convention, I think you're giving the PLP another term in government, and that's just my view, because of the fact when you look back in 2021 and you had I mean, we had the worst voting turnout in the history of the Bahamas. But when it comes to Abaco, you know, a lot of people, you know, it goes back to Dorian and the competent authority and what happened. The mishandling of the trailers with the dead bodies, that's a thing that really weighs on a lot of people's mind. The amount of deaths reported was far less. Now, a lot of them were undocumented foreign nationals in that regard. So, you know, when we talk about what happened here in Abaco, um, the bitterness towards it, and it's towards more so Dr. Minnis and how he handled the situation, because he was the leader at that time and he was the prime minister of the Bahamas. So when I say that, it could go back to the calling an early election. It was a
Mm.
slap in the people's face. It could be from Dorian. It could be COVID. It could be the competent authority. But here in Abaco, I can tell you, if Minnis is the leader of the F&M come Saturday, which I don't see, but if by chance something happens, there are
Mhm.
two seats you might as well not run an F&M candidate in, and that's North and South Abaco.
Oof. Okay. So help me out. So I heard what you're saying, but at the same time too, Michael Pintard was a part of the SEAM administration. Do you feel that persons, is it just a Minnis thing, or is it that Abaco is upset with the F&M on the whole, or do you think it's just Dr. Minnis? Because some will say, you know, that's Michael Pintard was the part of the SEAM administration. What do you say to that?
Um, no, I think it reflects on Minnis because I mean most people know how our Westminster system of governance runs,
Mm-hmm.
and what is and you know I had this discussion with somebody else. What is discussed in cabinet, you cannot come out and then say I don't support. I mean, you can, but you will lose your job, you know, as a cabinet minister per se or whatever. So that needs our system of governance needs to change. But getting back to the question with Pintard being part of the F&M, yes, he was. But I also, and I got to be careful how I say this. Do I think all the cabinet ministers were happy with the decision and what Minnis made? No, but they could not speak out in fear of, you know, at that time being the prime minister, you could lose your
Or
job, you could lose. Beg your pardon?
being fired, like
Being fired, correct.
okay.
You know, now moving forward, you're giving us we have somebody new that has presented themselves. He's been the leader for the last 2 years, and you know he's doing his best to get this party united for a 2026 general election.
Mm-hmm. Can we call him new though?
Well, you know, when I say new, I mean new to the leadership in
Okay.
regards of, you know, coming in to be seeking to be the prime minister of the Bahamas. I mean, I'll be 53 this year. He's a couple years older than me, but it's nice to see somebody in my generational gap or my generation that is seeking to be leader. When in 92, when Ingram came and it was the first time I could vote, you know, I was only what 21 at the time. So there was a big difference in gap between me and
Mm-hmm.
Ingram per
Yeah.
se than me and Michael C. Pintard. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, that's fair. All right, let's move on and swap a list. So that's you. You're supporting Clear out in the open. You are supporting Team Pintard. Your support is fully behind him. Last one question for that before I move on. If Michael Pintard is not successful in on June 1, 2024, where do you stand?
I would have to put my leadership behind the party. At this point in time, it would be a difficult sell for me in 2026. But at this point in time, I would have to put my support behind the leadership because it was done in a democratic, fair election.
Okay. persons with their loved ones, not knowing who was in those caskets, how long it took for them to even start to deal with that matter. I think that was a lot for Abaco. So I could definitely understand why they would be so upset. And honestly, I wouldn't even want Dr. Minnis to come back to the island, let alone talk about be the leader and run the island. I have seen that he have visited a few times, and the welcome was not warm, as we've seen on a couple viral videos. But yeah, that's a big one. So Abaco, we definitely understand where you guys stand. I think anywhere else would feel the same if being treated like the way Abaco was treated. And besides the dead bodies, it was the food. I heard some food went rotten in some trailers.
You had a lot, and it's part of that process because I was one of the ones that were offloading the trailers on the docks after Dorian, and there were 90 something trailers, and by the time we got to the last one, you know, they had the dry food was no good. I mean, you just had to dump it. And that's sad because the weevils, you cannot keep
Uh,
a. And
yeah.
when you think of it, you had there was 6 of us, 4 to 6 of us unloading 90 containers.
Why? Why so
It,
little?
it's just
Why was not a
you
team sent to do that?
let me say that well, let me say we oversaw it with Tropical and using their forklifts. So when boats came in, the provisions, we had to use Tropical stuff to offload the containers. And then you had to make arrangements with the Defense Force vehicles and also any other vehicles that were available at that time to take the stuff to the different centers. You had, you know, Central Abaco, you had up at the Central Abaco Primary School, you had the Marsh Harbor Community Center, you had Dundastown, you had Murphytown, and then you had Cooperstown, and then you had Blackwood. So you had it the strategics and even getting them on the boats to certain areas. Moore's Island, just food, Sandy Point, whatever it was to distribute it. It just made it really difficult. More manpower, but then when you get more people involved, uh, let's say stuff goes missing or things disappear. So
Mhm. So would you say that there wasn't a great priority around Abaco to ensure that things were dealt correctly and food was distributed on time? So the food, because you could you imagine going through a storm? Well,
yeah,
you don't imagine, you lived it. A storm like that, and then the food going bad. So the food was there, it went bad. So I think that leaves a
yeah.
bad.
One of the and I will say this, one of the biggest mistakes that, in my opinion, that Minnis made was turning down Hubert Alexander Ingram's help and Perry Gladstone Christie's help.
Oh.
Um, you know, it would have been ideal for Hubert Ingram to deal with Abaco and then Perry Christie to deal with Grand Bahama. And
Hmm.
the reason I say that is because the connections that they had as sitting prime ministers, they would
Yeah.
have been able to reach out, and they both of them had more contacts than what Hubert Minnis would
Have
ever have.
and on.
So I think that was also a slap in the face, not just to two former sitting prime ministers, but to the people of Abaco and Grand Bahama.
Yeah. What? So what do you think? Why do you think he turned down the help in a time like that? Oh, we lost Roscoe. Lost you. Mm. 1 second, guys. Let's see if we can get our guest back on. Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. Where did you go? Unmute your mic. Unmute you. Talk now. No. All right. 1 second. 1 second. Let me get my direct on that. Can you can you hear me though? What's wrong? All right, we'll get that back up soon. Just a second, guys. I don't know why he went out, but yeah, we'll get that back up. Can you talk? I can't hear you. Okay. I don't know. He went out and then his sound, he just disappeared and came back in his. All right. My guess is loading his phone. I don't know what happened, but we got disconnected. Well, he got disconnected from us. So yeah, we just gonna talk about it until he gets back on. So yeah, let's talk about it. Abaco seems to be very upset with Dr. Miners. I've heard again multiple times where persons are saying, I don't know if he's back yet, but persons are saying that if Dr. Miners returns as leader, um, they won't support the FNM. I don't know where that leaves them. Okay, Ross goes back. Let's see if we can hear him. Yay! Got him back. Oh, it's okay. That's fine. Okay, let's continue on. So I was asking you. You said Dr. Minister declined help from the two former prime ministers, which is Mr. Christie and Ingram. Why? Do you know? Nobody knows.
I don't know if it was, and I don't want to sound bad. I don't know if it was ego, arrogance, whatever it would be, but I know if it was me, I would not turn down two former prime ministers from lending assistance from the worst natural disaster that has hit the Bahamas or this side of the hemisphere in a long time, you know.
Okay, yeah. I think something, I think that's one of the issues as well, is that Dr. Menace is such a comes off as such as a one man band. It's like you don't even understand that in a time such as a natural disaster, one what I would say is the worst that the Bahamas have seen in forever or ever, period. And you can't put your feelings aside to think of the bigger picture, which is the Bahamian people. At that time, all help was needed. And for you to be declining help at a time like that, I think it speaks volumes to your leadership, and it's not in a good way.
It was not a smart move in my opinion, and still to this day, people could say I hold it against Minutes, but in a way I do, because one, it was a slap in two former PM's faces where, hey, listen, I know that the Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingham has more contacts than what,
Especially,
at that time
oh,
Minutes would have. And then, with added with Perry Christie,
mhm.
it just would have been a prime opportunity. And also just being, and I say, and I don't want to say politics, but just being, you're putting politics aside, but at the same time, if something happens, it doesn't fall on your shoulders, because then it falls on Ingram, and it would have fell on Perry Christie,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you could have
Mm-hmm.
kind of, and I don't want to say push the blame, but you wouldn't have had to take
Could have.
full
You didn't have to take
responsibility.
the whole fall.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think that clears it up on how Abaco feels about Dr. Minnis. And I can agree that I've heard it myself. So let's move on. Let's move on a little bit. So, okay. I call this one, let's clear the air. So, Roscoe, everybody knows that in 2012, you went to the DNA. There is rumors now saying that you're only back with the F&M because for a seat. Now, I have asked you this question, so I know the answer to it. But for the viewers, help us understand. Clear the air.
And I will clear the air. In 2011, I announced my independency candidacy for Central South Abaco, even before I joined the DNA. I had the opportunity to sit around the table. I will not call no names, but I had an opportunity to sit around the table, and we discussed, moving and becoming the DNA, and how the DNA was formed, and all of that. So, yes. And then I did join the DNA. I did not seek any position. I did not seek anything. I was just a candidate at that time, running under at that time, it was Bramble McCartney, and God rest his soul, Chris Mortimer, with the leader and the deputy leader. Um, it opened my eyes to politics, in regards being on front line, and getting involved. One of the reasons I left after the DNA, we were soundly defeated. I only got 242 votes. I got the area code of the Bahamas, is what I say. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appreciate some of the things that happened in the DNA. And I say that, we never had an election for the leader. So that kind of stuck with me, and I was too far into. there was there was a time there that I actually was going to step back from the DNA, and most people will know that a press release came out from Bahamas Press that, Roscoe Thompson's meeting with at that time it was the Prime Minister Hubert Ingram. And of course, it did not happen, because once that story leaked, it just didn't. So there were some concerns of mine in regards to that. So when the election, I stuck it out. When the election was over, I called up the leader then, and I told him that I was rejoining the F&M, and I moved on. I actually helped Loretta Butler Turner and Dr. Hubert Minnis at that time in North Abaco, in the by-election with Greg Gomez, and I've been home ever since. I have been F&M since then. It was that short, brief period of my time,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to Papa, and I will say, I said, I really learned a lot, but I believe I made a mistake in running. I really do
Okay.
at that point in time.
And I want to say this too. I don't see why people can't get over it. It happens all the time, whereas people either take a step back from their part. I don't see why people keep bringing it up. Like, okay, you went to DNA in 2012, you're back to the F&M. That's home. It's like you move out your parents' house too early, you go and face the real world, and you say, "Mommy, let me come back home." I think
And,
that's what happened to you.
and let me just give you a little brief history. I mean, my father ran for the F&M in '82. He lost here in South Abaco by 80 or 68, 70 votes. My great uncle ran. He was a member of parliament for the F&M. Even back before I was born, my grandfather and my great uncle, and they got a walloping cut hip, but they were some of the first, But it's what I've known all my life. Yes, I did have a brief stint there where I stepped back, and are there any regrets? No, because I learned a lot. I learned the type of person I am, who I am, and it was just one of those decisions that, do I regret it? No, I don't. Would I
No.
change it? No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be the person who I am today, because it's all a learning process.
And you don't get to appreciate something sometimes until you don't have it.
Yeah.
And so stepping away from that, and I really I would say, gave you an appreciation for what the party truly is. So listen, that's it. That's all. We don't want to hear nothing else about Roscoe Thompson and the DNA, whom we don't even know if they still exist today, because we've heard nothing from the DNA
No.
since Arinthia Kumalafe upped and left them. And so, yes, he left. He is back. F&M, Tina Pintard. That's Roscoe Thompson. Let's move on.
Thank you.
All right, Roscoe. So I know that you are heavily involved in the community down there in Abaco. What's tea? What's lacking? What's needed? How's this administration treating Abaco? Let's talk about it.
Boy, that's I could sum it up in one word. We were treated better under Minutes than what we've been treated under this.
No, I'm not gonna
I
allow you to say
I know
that.
you're not. I know that's a difficult. Let me just say that, and why I say that is because, and I hate to say I give credit where credit's due, but we had more going on under the previous administration. You had, reconstruction of houses. You had this going on. I know right now that they do have a couple. I want to say 10 or 11. There might be a couple more houses that are being built right now. Under
The,
this administration,
okay.
under this, but I don't think they're all occupied. Um, some of my concerns, and I don't want to get too political, but some of my biggest concerns that I've had since this administration took office was the duty and VAT free. They went to a case by case scenario where I think it should have been a little more blanketed, because you still had a lot of people that are now moving back to Abaco that, at that time, they just, we had COVID. We just didn't have Dorian. We had COVID. So it really put us behind the eight ball big time. I've seen, even with Desmond Bannister, they started knocking down the shanty towns, and then a court order was put against him to stop doing that. And then, they had a new ruling where the judge said, hey, and it was in the ruling, you do not have to come back before the courts. This can come from the minister and what needs to be done. Now, I have said that I do give Clay Sweeting credit to a certain extent for knocking down some of the illegal built houses. But what it has now done, one, is it's dispersed everybody throughout the community. So you don't know where everybody is now. Two, they left all the debris there.
Hold on.
Um,
So let me, because I don't want to forget. So you're saying after they broke down the shanty towns, so there was no did immigration not come in and get, I guess, get a hold on illegal persons that were there? None of that happened.
Not like that, because see, one thing about the illegals, they knew when immigration was coming and they disappeared. You
Do
know,
you
it wasn't like
off? Do you
most
think
of the people that were, go ahead.
they're tipped off?
Oh, yeah, but they knew that immigration was on the ground. I mean, they came in on Bahamas Air, so once that went,
Yeah.
on Facebook, or people said, "Hey, immigration's here, the task force is here." Um,
Yeah.
we
So they.
lost all shot of doing anything in regards to apprehending the illegals that were here. Now, a lot of the Bahamians or Haitians of Bahamian descent, or Bahamians of Haitian descent that were living in there, a lot of them were taking advantage of people. I mean, they had their own power, they had their own stores, it was their own community. The only
Mhm.
thing I don't think you could have bought in there was gas. You had to go to the gas station, but you had everything there. And you even had some Bahamians, and this is what gets me to this day. You had some Bahamians that were in there doing some illegal stuff that you will never hear of them being prosecuted.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just like across on the left side of the road from the shanty town, what they call Gaza. You have some agricultural land. I won't call the two names of the people that have leases for it, but the government should be going after them. They are
Mhm.
two Bahamians, and they are leasing out for X amount of dollars to
To
foreign
illegal.
nationals. Huh?
To illegals.
Well, I can't say if they're just illegals, but I will say to foreign nationals, leasing land to them on
Mhm.
agricultural land, and that's against the law. You cannot sublease any agricultural land or crown land if you have a lease. Now,
Mhm.
if you own it outright, crown land, you can sell and do what you want with it. But when it comes to agricultural land, you cannot sublease anything. And I don't know why they haven't targeted those people, taking them before the courts,
Mhm.
because they're making money off of foreign nationals that are building. And I have the papers where, hey, so and so is paying $2,000 a month, and it has a person's name, or $2,000 a year
How come you
for.
never show me?
Oh, I'll show you. I'll be more than happy to send you a private. I'll have to go back through my pictures. I
Well,
I will have to.
I definitely want to see it, because if it is happening, we need to bring light to it. Because you know something, in the Bahamas, we cry so much about illegal migration and this and that. But the truth of it is, a lot of Bahamians take part in this.
Mhm.
These people cannot do it on their own. They cannot live here on their own with no help from Bahamians. So we are our own worst enemies. And I would like to
Mhm.
see it. Let me bring some light to it. But carry on. Well, now, Roscoe, I think I need you to step back a little bit, because you said Abaco is doing better under Dr. Minnis. I think that is.
I let me say this, and why I don't want to say it was. I said the eponym, and the reason I say that is because we had a lot of NGOs that were still here. We had a lot of things that were going on, so they were at the bequest of the Bahamas government. They were here. Now we don't have as many NGOs here. We do still have a couple, but when I get into saying, when I look at example, just simple things, we just finally got a generator for the Leonard M. Thompson Airport. What, 2 months ago? We still cannot supply toilet paper. We cannot keep the bathrooms clean. You know, hmm?
Who is in charge of it? Who is in charge of the?
It falls under the airport authority in Nassau. We have, and you have a prime opportunity right here in Abaco. You have a parking lot there that you can put parking back there, paid parking,
Mhm.
and that money then there can offset our expenses for repairs. And these companies that at one point, and I don't know if it's still happening, but you had Freeport companies and Nassau companies that had the contracts for the airport, maintenance per se, like AC servicing and all that.
Mhm.
We have enough locals here that are in the AC business. Why are we not now? And I think we are now, but Those are the people that we should be employing, because the person out of Nassau is going to contact somebody here to do the work. So they're going to sub it out to them, where why don't you just give it to the local that is here right now? Our
Yeah.
our government complex is a prime example. You want to know what they did to fix the mold inside there? They removed the bottom 18 inches of the sheetrock. That was it. And they replaced it. There is still people, offices are still closing down, some of them at 12 o'clock. You can smell the dampness. You can smell the mold. The mold.
No, man. No.
I am telling you, Brittany, listen to me. Even in some of the offices that I go into, you can smell it. With mold, if it's been there for 2.5 years, it's climbed more than 18 inches.
Yes.
I mean, that's
And
just a guy.
so many people sick, like literally
Yeah,
sick. Why
a
try
lot of,
to that? Why not deal with the issue? Are you trying to have people sick? And especially in Alberta, where people have to fly out of Alberta if they do get sick, that I think is ridiculous.
even our Central Abaco District Council, we offered to replace all the sheetrock at our expense, and NIB would not allow us to do it. So, our chief counselor, and our council has now started building our own local government building to where we can operate our our affairs out of, because it's not fair to our staff members that
Exactly.
might have respiratory issues down the line because of black mold. And that's very concerning for me and for all our agencies that are in there, because the majority of our governmental agencies are in the government complex.
Who's the MP down there? Is it the prime
um
minister or
no,
the?
you have John Pinder, which is MP for Central South Abaco, and then you have member of Parliament Kirk Cornish, who is for North Abaco.
He got his
And
going on. So let's
yeah,
just let's deal with Ron.
but yeah, no, getting like I said, and so there's little issues like that we see. You also see the DRA, and I will say this: I have yet, and I've heard of a couple people that have gotten help since this administration has taken over, but there's still a lot of people that need that help to, finish off their houses, to
Mhm.
do whatever. And that's something that I would like. It shouldn't be about politics, because
No, the government
this
is
storm,
government for all people.
right, this storm did not differentiate if you were Bahamian from the
Yes.
US or where, or if you were FNM, PLP, COI, DNA. It did not.
Mhm.
So, let's do that. I've seen, and you heard my voice note in the group, start renting it out to single mothers, or to, other people
Yeah.
that might, senior citizens.
Mhm.
There's things that can be
I
done.
like the idea. I like.
So I don't want to say that. To me, it seemed like a little bit more was going on, and maybe that's because of the NGOs.
Mhm.
um
Oh no, Roscoe went out again. What's going on? Let's see if we can get him back up. Wonder if their light is turning on back there. All right, people. Let's see if we can get Roscoe back with sound, because I don't know what's going on with his phone or anything. But let's wait a. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. All right, yeah. So let's continue. Can you hear me? All right, let's go right back into it. Let's continue. Yes. what was happening? Government late on assistance for a wildfire. Yeah. Hmm. Mhm. I saw some were posting. I saw that the residents really was doing what they could themselves. When did the government step in? Mhm.
We had some rain, so whoever was setting the rain stopped. Whoever was setting these fires, the rain stopped them because it dampened all the dryness that we had here. But I was in a meeting with some NEMA officials, and one of the forestry guys says, "Oh, the fires weren't as bad as what they made it to be." And I was like, "Okay,
Fire's
maybe you
not as
weren't."
bad.
Well, basically, at the Spring City fire, he did say, and I said, "Well, you might have been at the wrong fire because it did come back onto the backside of Spring City, which it really we were very lucky. I will say this: I have to give hats off not just to Marsh Harbor, but to uh, Bahama Palm Shores, Casuarina, Treasure Key, Cooperstown, Hopetown, Manowar. All of them came over to our aid to help. The Defense Force officers that were here, road traffic for diversion of traffic and all that. It was good to see, and people were listening. They were putting sprinklers on top of their roof. They were wetting down their houses, just whatever they could do to help. Um, I'll tell you a quick story, which I just found out about a night ago, and or a couple nights ago. There was a little girl on her back porch praying that the fire, because the fire was creeping up to her house, and she was praying, "Oh Lord, please don't let the fire." And she comes, this it wasn't me, but it was another. She goes, this white guy in a mask came by with a fire hose, and he saved. My point being is she saved $8 of her lunch money to give as a donation to the fire department. So when you hear things like that, it really touches my heart, and it really shows the appreciation that people do have, in that regards. But just getting back, I guess I would like to see a little bit be more being done here in Abaco, because our business sector is started to really grow back from Dorian. I would say we are right back up on par with pre-Dorian. I know here in Marsh Harbor proper, which just consists of the Marsh Harbor constituent or Marsh Harbor area, we're still down probably 40-45% in population that we were pre-Dorian. A lot of the residents that moved, if they went to Luthra or if they went to Nassau, they got jobs and they just haven't come back. Yeah, I mean, a lot of prices went up with, especially in the rental market. Right now, to find a two-bedroom apartment over here is very difficult. To find a one-bedroom, and it's I guess it's that supply and demand need. When you don't have it, people could charge what they want. You're going to pay for it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. But yes, that is one of the biggest problems that we've had over here. Our food costs, I'm going to say they might be a little higher than Nassau, but in the majority, what I've seen, And maybe it's because when I go and visit my mom, I go to fresh markets rather and super value. But I've seen even like at Harbor Bay, their prices are, some of them are even more expensive than Abaco. So I do see that. But yes, well, they have had price control over here to keep an eye out on what's going on. I think what also hurt, and I don't want to sound negative about it, but I think they dropped VAT from 12 to 10%, but then they put it on medicine and bread basket items, which really hurt the lower middle class, lower class, senior citizens, not just here in Abaco, but throughout the whole Bahamas. Because at one time we didn't have to pay VAT on medication or, your bread basket items. So it really, yeah. So it is, the cost of living here is a little bit higher than more places. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I really do. Right. I mean, Hopetown, Man of War, Guanakee, Green Turtle, Treasure Key, they really come back. Even Marsh Harbor's come back, but the residential side, Dundas and Murphytown are booming. Even Spring City, that's part of the Marsh Harbor Spring City Township. Spring City is, a big community now. Before it was only a couple hundred houses, and now it's a real big area over here in Central South Abaco. Um, so, no, no. Only the only the Gaza, what they called. I don't know why they called it Gaza, but only the Gaza was knocked down. That was the one on SC Boodle Highway on the right side. There's two more across on the left side of the road, and then you have the Treasure Key down by the what they call the farm, and the farm in Treasure Key. That's the old one that they have there. And something that we noticed even with the fires, and it was something that really opened my eyes, was, um, and I don't want to say it's being mean, but I was wondering where all these people were coming out with bed sheets and they had all their stuff. What they had done is they were building buildings behind in the bush, but nobody knew about it. So you couldn't get there when the fire, because it engulfed it, but the people were bringing their, I mean, there were dozens of people that were coming out of the bush with their stuff. Um, they did. I think some went into the other areas, and then some of them they pooled together and they bought property, or they rented. They bought a house. With a Bahamian, and they're living, in rental units. So, they they're very resilient people. Don't let nobody kid you. I mean, they have, and when I say that, I don't mean the illegals. What I'm saying is that the Haitians of Bahamian, or Haitians of Haitian descent. I know it's not a right term to use, and so I do, but I have to make that clear, because I think that they have taken advantage, or when I say that, they've pooled their money together, if their families, and they've bought properties and they start building on, so they're doing it the proper way, or they bought a rundown house and they fixed it back up. So yes, they're becoming productive members of society that way, which is a right to me is a right way to do it. There are some cases of that because they do have Bahamian citizenship and they do have Bahamian passports. So at that time they're considered Bahamian. So they have the right to. Now, do they have the right to rent it out to somebody illegal? No, they don't. But that is not a call me or you can make. Only the authorities can do that if they're reported. But it is good to see some of them that are Bahamians that are taking this opportunity to invest in our country or our island and doing it the right way. Right. Well, we still have a lot of that. That still.
And then you leave a bunch of others up to. What's the sense of it? And it's like if you pour water on an ant's nest, what do? They come out and they spread and they go. So
Mhm.
if you're gonna knock down shanty towns and you're not gonna have immigration do their job as to picking up those ones that are illegal or ensuring that they don't move from one end to a next end to build more, like, you know what, even if they're not illegal, what they are doing is illegal and they should be arrested and they should be held accountable. So don't give me the crap about, well, they were Bahamians of Haitian descent. No, but what they did is illegal.
Illegal.
Arrest them.
If a Bahamian, the way I look at it, if a Bahamian has to go through town planning, has to get a set of plans, has to go to environmental health, has to submit, has to pay for those plans to, they pay, it's a small fee. They're doing it the right way. But if you go on a piece of crown land and you build illegal, that's illegal. It
And
doesn't, it
you
doesn't
should be
matter.
arrested.
Right.
That's all I think. You should
So,
be
and,
fined
and
or
I'll use,
arrested.
And I'll use an example, even like I know in north of Luther, because I think they're having I don't know if they've started over there yet with the demolition of the shanty towns in the commonage land on north of Luther. But I know that the people on the commonage land came up with a good idea. There's some dead land there that they can no longer use for farming. Allow us, another 3 months. Let the ones here that have work permits, let us build their places, because if you bring somebody in on a work permit, you are
Gotta have
responsible for
somewhere.
their housing and their NIB. So use that dead property to go ahead, do what you got to do. At least that will get some of them out, and then you can go ahead with your. So at least you're thinking ahead of the game. And I don't know what's come about of it, but at least they were, because the chief counselor of Spanish Wells did call me to ask me what happened after the demolition effect here in Abaco, and I said they just spread out.
Wetlands.
So you got to have a game plan in regards to tackling this, because it's not just the issue of, yes, you're taking care of one illegal aspect, and that's the building of the houses, but
But
then what
you're
happens to the people?
I won't even say that you're demolishing the illegal buildings or whatever they call it, the shanty towns, right? But are you holding the people accountable that were building them, that were
Right.
renting the land? So you're not doing what's needed to do. So it's just gonna continue. I think it's a disgrace, and I want to know what is the representative for Abaco doing to ensure these things get done. Like, are you just there? You were elected to represent the island, and these are issues and concerns. Because the truth of the matter is, if you or I, Bahamian citizens, build on anything without, come on, man, we can't even add on to our house. We can't even add on to our own house without permission. How are we allowing persons to build these structures and we tear them down and that's it? No. Some people need to be either arrested or fined. You need to get in contact. You know who these people are. The people, listen, island people know everything.
Mm-hmm.
We know who the people are. Go to them, arrest them. You and I can't do it. You can't even add on to your own home. That's already built.
And me being part of local government over here and being the chairman of Marsh Harbor Springs City Township, as many letters as I've written to the authorities, and the different government agencies to address this, it it sometimes it goes on deaf ears, and that's the unfortunate thing. The only time you seem to get the attention of the government of the Bahamas is when you go to the press, or you go on talk shows, or you go and you embarrass them,
You
and
embarrass them.
then they're more
May give you
reactive than
attention and
proactive.
then they'll blacklist you, be spiteful, and they may address certain things, but they'll find a way to spite you for bringing it to the public light. But if this is what's needed to happen, then this is what's going to happen. I want to know, what are the representatives for Abaco doing to ensure these problems don't happen? Yes, there are ministries in charge of these things, but you are the voice for the people. They elected you to represent, to speak. Why are y'all not in the House of Assembly speaking on the behalf of the Abaco people? What do they call it? Abaconians?
They call us Abaconians, yes.
Okay, exactly. Where is Ron Pinder? We do know where Kirk Cornish is, and you got your own issues. I personally feel like Kirk Cornish should resign from his MP position. You are useless at this point. But anything else you want to say on that
No, the only
matter?
thing is, and I not really much so much on the shanty town, but as you know, we recently had a diesel leak from a service station over here, and we've yet to hear any result, or what what conclusion they came up with from environmental health or with Sun Oil, and you know because I will tell you, we dug a hole. Well, I shouldn't say we. A business owner dug a hole in this piece of property next to this certain place, and he had traces of diesel in his hole there. So it is spread further than what, just at the service station and our drain systems and that. So my question, I guess, is to Vaughn Miller: what are the results, or what happened, and what's gonna happen? Are they gonna be made to remove the tanks? I mean, we haven't heard anything. I know it takes some time for an investigation, but how long does that investigation take? And then how long before you make a decision to address this and make them do what is right?
So when did you guys find out about this leak? How long has it
This
been?
is this was the beginning of April 8th or something.
From April 8th, when finding out about the diesel leak, y'all have not heard anything from your representative, from the ministers, nothing.
Only one person we heard from, and that's when he brought it up in the House of Assembly, and that's Adrian White. And that's the only.
Oh, ha. Listen, I can't with this government. You heard that there's a diesel leak. F&M representative spoke about it in the House of Assembly. Yet the two representatives for Abaco, Kirk Cornish and Ron
John Pinder.
Pinder,
John.
have yet to even address your citizens, your constituents. Say something, do something. They put you there for a reason. Stop sitting down like statues doing nothing. I mean, as a diesel leak, y'all have not addressed the people and say, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. This is the way forward. We're dealing with this. Let us investigate some more and see how we can get, a handle on this. Nothing.
It shouldn't. And I'm elected, as a local government practitioner, but here it is that, and I thought I did very well in giving them, enough time to address it. And when they didn't, that's when I went live on Facebook to address the situation, because I figured I would give you the benefit of the doubt, as I do with everybody. But when your time limit runs out, I'm an elected official of this community, and it is my responsibility. Because if for some reason somebody had a well that they were using for water for whatever reason, I'm just saying it's not
Yes.
too many, but it just, if it was, I would be in dereliction of my duties. You know, I would not be doing what I was represented to do.
Yeah. I think, and I can agree. At this point, I'm gonna have to get involved. I'm gonna have to make some noise because I want to know what are the representative for Abaco doing, because it seems as though they're neglecting the place. And listen, the people put you all there for a reason. Listen, why have a representative if local government and everybody's just gonna do everything on their own? Like there's no help, no word from the big bosses, the people really in charge. Yes, local government is one thing. Yes, local government does as best as they can. But what happens now when they can't? It is no more they could do. What are you doing? What are you doing, Ron Pindo? What are you doing, Kirk Cornish? Are you so busy with your rape case that you don't remember who you are? What is your place? What is your role? So I'm gonna start calling y'all out.
And just so you know, it's not right. It's John Pinder. Just so you
Sorry,
know,
John. So Ron Pindo.
John.
So yeah, sorry, my bad. Sorry, yeah.
He
My bad,
wasn't
my
here.
bad.
I think.
John
No
Pindo.
worries.
Correction. Thank you so much. John Pindo with the big ears. Um but yeah. So all right, Roscoe, let's move on. I have one final question for you. Roscoe Thompson, are you running or do you plan to run for the F&M come 2026 elections?
I Let me see how I could answer this. I have been taking the candidacy courses. I have not officially submitted my letter to seek the nomination for the Free National Movement in 2026. Um, I will say this: it is my intention that that letter will be submitted by the end of this year. In that regards, in moving forward. So, do I have? Yes, I have aspirations. Does that mean that I'm guaranteed it? No, it doesn't. But I am doing what I need to do right now, in lines with the F&M in regards to taking the candidacy courses. And I think they do know that I am interested, but I have not officially submitted a letter to seek that nomination as of yet.
You have time. I will say this. So I personally, um, you know how we go. You know how we go. Where you're in my WhatsApp group. I support you. I have followed you. I listen to things that you have to say. You are so involved in the community. Tell your wife is now saying she's a sweetheart. You want to explain that to the people?
No, we had a I, I don't know how the conversation came up, but a couple days ago, I don't know, it came up about sweethearts, and I said, "Well, you're my wife, and I love you." And she goes, "Hmm." She says, "I believe I'm your sweetheart, and you're married to the community." And it was all in joke and good humor, but
I know.
she it really really cracked me up. And my son and his friend was over, and it was laughed. And I said, "You're right, Lori, because it seems like if it isn't local government, it's umping softball games. If it's not that, it's I hold the fire phones for the fire department. I'm also a volunteer fire department. So I try to give my time back to the community, because we don't get, and I say this as a local government practitioner, I get a stipend. It's not much. It's might be $250 a month. Um, so what I
Lord,
do,
what you do
yeah,
with that?
what I do for my community, and what I do is from my heart. It's not because of the money. It's because I care for my community. I was here from the day after Dorian for 2 weeks, and then I had to get my son into school, and then I was back here, and I've been here ever since. I mean, I was involved with NGOs. I was involved with this and getting people supplies, even from the local government aspect. what we did for our communities, just even Marsh Harbor and Spring City, I take my hats off to my board that allowed us to do it. But we were able to dry in, I think it was 400 homes in Marsh Harbor and Spring City. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that just meant Gray Select or something, plywood repairs, whatever it was. But we were
Mm-hmm.
able to help a lot of people. So, you know, giving my time to my community is in my heart, and I guess I learned that from my grandfather and my father. And you know, it's just something that I've done. I did it back in 2007, and I took a break from it, but I've been at it since 2017.
Good. And I, like I said, I support you, and I don't really support too much of y'all. But if you do, well, when you do put officially into the race, you have my support. You have your girl, a big one on your team. So,
I,
Roscoe, last words.
I appreciate that, Brittany. Thank you for having me on tonight. I really do. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for the Bahamas and others that tuned in to us tonight. I really do appreciate you giving me the opportunity. And I will say this, I have a lot of respect for you. And I know we butt heads on some things, but that's what we're
It's
able
fine.
to do. But
Sure.
I do respect you, and I have a lot of admiration for you and what you do. And I really appreciate you speaking up for the people that cannot speak up for themselves.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let me just give um viewers about 5 minutes to see if anybody wants to do a call in. So if you want to call in, if you have any questions or text in for Roscoe Thompson or myself, the number is 826-7033. Call in, WhatsApp only, call or text in 826-7033. Let's just give them 5 minutes to see if anybody has any questions. You basically summed it all up, and I do appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem. Let's see. And Roscoe, I want to see those things. Listen, sends me everything.
I
Um,
will get I will do that. I will get you a copy of the I have to go back in my photos. Um and I will get you a copy of the one that I have of where the person was charged. I think it was $2,000 for the year.
yeah, I need to see it. Like something has to be done. It's too often our islands are being neglected. People aren't paying attention. The government come into power, they have these representatives and they don't do anything. We need to start bringing things to light and ensuring that they do what they have to do for the people. So Abaco, y'all got me on your side now. I'm tuned in. I am fighting for y'all. As any information needed, send it to me. Hit me up. Call Roscoe. Roscoe know how to get in contact with me. I'm gonna be an extra voice for y'all. All right. Let me just check this Facebook page. Cause that's just sad, man.
Yeah, and Brittany, even like with the oil leak, you would think by now they would have had the minister would have had a report, because even like local government, we were looking at, okay, what legal action can we take against Sun Oil? It's basically, we're an extension of the Bahamas government, so it's not like we can do anything. We have to wait for central government to do it. But it's to the point
Exactly.
where you want to say, hey, what do we do?
Exactly. I think it's honestly, I think it's disgraceful that none of the representative, none of the ministers in charge have even addressed the people yet. Like, this is my biggest problem. The government always seems to feel that they have no reason or no need to address the people. Let people know what's going on. If there is something happening, the only way we can know is if you inform us. And if you feel that you are too above to even address the people, then you gotta go. You have to go. If you don't like your job, leave. But one of your job is letting the Bahamian people who you work for, and until you all have get that in your mindset that y'all are not the bosses, okay? Y'all are not the bosses. The bosses is me, is us, is the Bahamian citizens. You, let me tell you, when you wherever you work, wherever you're employed, right? If you have a meeting or something goes down in your company, what do? You go, you call a meeting with your boss, you inform your boss and let them know what's going on. You don't act on your own. So Bahamian, the government, well, like the people that say, system changes say, we are the government. So for the politicians, the elected officials, get this in your head. I's your boss. Roscoe is your boss. Bahamian citizens is your boss. We don't work for y'all. Y'all work for us. Until y'all adapt that in your mindset, beat it in there. I don't see where y'all could start. Like, do better. Do better. Let the people of Abaco know what's going on. Let the people of Abaco know what y'all doing about the oil leak, the diesel leak.
Well, look, even you could even see the thing. I know you've seen it on Facebook and probably in the group with Adelaide, even in Nassau with that.
Yes. Well, they addressed that right away.
Yeah, but
was it addressed? I thought it was addressed.
I saw some photos today, but I'm not sure if it maybe it has been addressed, but
we're getting a call.
Go ahead.
Second. Hello, you're live.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I have one question for Mr. Roscoe.
Go ahead.
I heard Mr. Roscoe said earlier that if Dr. Hubert minister to be elected, that persons more than likely may not turn out to vote. FNM may not come up to the poll. He's the one who is selected as the leader. And I also heard him said that he would have gotten a nomination to run. Okay.
No.
I want to ask him, pardon me?
No. He said he plans to run.
Okay. If he plans to run, would that make a difference? I mean, if you're the person who's planning, if you run in, would that make a difference as far as the voters coming out to support you? Or they still more likely may not because Dr. Menace decide to come back?
Oh, because if Menace is the leader, will the people support? Will the people of Abaco support Roscoe on his own name, or because Menace is the leader, they will not? Is your question?
They will not. Yes, exactly.
All right, is that all?
That's it.
All right, thank you. He'll answer on the live.
And I'll be honest with her. I do think if Menace did come back, I would not get the nomination for Central South Abaco.
So you think Menace will be spiteful? Let's say you enter the race, you put in your letter to become the candidate for Abaco, and Dr. Menace nominates you. If Dr. Menace wins, do you believe that you can capture the votes of Abaco on your own, or because he is the leader, it won't happen?
That would be
Let me say this first. We live in a country where leaders are elected and voted out, regardless of who is on that team. But go ahead.
That's a very tough one. But to be honest with you, it would be even tough for me to win this seat with Dr. Menace as a leader and everything that I do, because the FNMs over here would not come out to vote as long as Menace is leader. I know that sounds bad, but I'm just being frank and honest with you. I mean, it was difficult to get the ones to come out and vote in 2021. It really, I've never worked that hard in an election campaign in my life.
No.
And I told people, I said, people come out and support Vandia. You know, before they used to tell you come out and you put your hand over the name of the person and you support the torch. This time we tell him, put your hand over the torch and support the person.
So it'll probably be the same if Dr. Menace, when you gotta don't watch the torch.
I don't mean that in a bad. I just speak the
No,
truth
it
and the
is what it
reality
is.
of it. It is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, I would be better off running if he did come back, as she said. If he did come back, I would be better off running as an independent and them not opposing this seat. That would be.
Okay, 8267033. We got 2 more minutes. 8267033. Call in, text in. Thank you, caller. That was a good question.
She put me on the spot there, you know.
Listen, I can't get over that part of come with a torch and watch the name. Listen, more people need to do that.
I'm not,
Period.
but that's what we had to do. That I mean, that's what you had to do. You know, and I'll tell you a story until somebody calls in. You know, I'm sitting in there, we're watching a rally. The prime minister at the time comes up to me and stands next to me. He says, "What do you think about the free food program?" I said, "Sir, the people of Abaco don't want to hear about a free food program for the schools. What they want to hear you is humble yourself and apologize to the people for the mistakes you made and humble yourself up on that stage. That's what the people of Central and South Abaco want to hear. That's what you have not done it. You did not do it." And what did he go up there and do? He talked about the free lunch program for the schools. And I said, we're done, you know? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just you have somebody telling you what you need to do.
And you didn't do it. So let me tell you also, I felt the same way. I offered this advice to Dr. Minnis and his team. I said, I believe, and as someone that again, a lot of people reach out to me. I am in Bahamas a lot. I am in all over social media, and I can tell you, I gave the advice that Dr. Minnis needs to sincerely apologize to the Bahamian people, and that was like more than a week ago, and I've yet to hear one apology, and it makes one wonder. Dr. Minnis, do you feel that you have done nothing wrong to apologize for? And some may say, at one point Dr. Minnis gave an apology. I don't remember it, but if he did, it doesn't matter. If Bahamians are still in a place where we want to see more, we want you to really genuinely and sincerely apologize to the Bahamian people. We wanted Dr. Minnis to take accountability for the wrongs that he has done, for the hurt that he has caused the people of Abaco, that he has caused the people of Freeport and the Bahamas at large. And so when you feel that you are above and you don't have to apologize to demons, or I done apologize once, that's not, see, when you sincerely apologize to someone, you're not going to say something like, oh, he already apologized. No, because when you're sorry, you keep at it. People don't even have to ask you for an apology. Every time you speak, you are to remind the humans that you had your term, you made some mistakes, and you apologize. I am sorry. Dr. Minnis, we ask for that same compassion that you had for another nation. As I said, we have yet to get it to us, who you are supposed to be loyal to, who you are supposed to serve. Your term was not a success. Do not let your minions or your yes men lead you wrong. What Bahamians needed, and at this point, it may be a little too late. We needed a sincere apology. We needed accountability. We needed to know that you made mistakes, that you made some wrong moves. 1 second, we're getting a call. You're live. Hello.
Good night. Good night. Hope all is well with everyone. Appreciate you taking my call here on Island T.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
I had the chance to listen in. The good Mr. Roscoe Thompson on the show, speaking about Abaco.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to kind of get a chance to listen in and then see if I can chime in some, because I know there was some information. I want to make sure all the information is clear, like that.
Oh, Lord. Well, we're almost done with the show, but you can go and rewatch. I think the information is clear. Ross, do you have anything to say to this?
Is that me and your good friend?
Yes, it's me and your good friend.
I did correct myself. sir, and reminded that I think it was 10 or more houses that were
Oh,
being
yes,
done over here. So I did. I just want you to know that. But I tried. Brittany kept me in check tonight.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that, okay, that's good. Well, once the clarification was made and clear, 10 homes to go along with additional homes in the rent-to-own pilot project first in the country. So, but listen, happy you guys had a good show. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for calling in.
All right, good night.
All right, 8267033. That'll be it after that. But yeah, like I was saying about Dr. Menace, that's what we wanted from him. Unfortunately, I think at this point, whenever you have to beat an apology out of someone, it's then hard to believe if it comes that it will be sincere. So, Dr. Menace, we gave you the shot, we gave you the opportunity to apologize to the Bahamas at large. You refuse. Your team, we told your team, I don't know who is your PR team or who is advising you. I'm hearing that it's your advisors or your PR team. Head of that is someone by Minister Kevin Harris. Fire him from the mouth of Brittany Harris.
And Brittany, if you look in 2021 when Mike and them had, and he was elected as the leader, you saw all former prime ministers, all former deputy leaders get up on stage with him. The only one missing was Menace.
Again, Dr. Menace.
Again, it just shows you, and you had Hubert Ingram there, you had Tommy Turnquest, you had Dion Folk, you had all the chairmen, you had all the deputies, that were there. The only one missing was Frank Watson, because I know at that time he was a little ill, but he was the only person missing. And that's the thing that I will say this to you. Come June 1st, if Pintard, and which I believe he will be successful, and this is a question to you, do you really think that Menace will come up on stage and embrace Pintard and move this party forward?
Unfortunately, Roscoe, I do not. I think at this point, I will say this for everyone listening. Dr. Menace comes off as a prejudiced, arrogant, non-sociable prick. And I don't think that's good. You should not be leading a country with that type of attitude. Dr. Menace, before you think to re-enter the race to lead the Bahamian people, you have to be able to get on a level with us. You cannot feel like you are above us, but then expect us or ask us to support you. And what you have shown thus far is outright disgraceful, Menace. I tried with you. You are just not sociable, not a likable person, not approachable. Go sit down. Leadership is not for you. In fact, resign after 2026. Don't run again. Go retire. Go on in your merry life. You're not a people person. And in politics, you have to be a people person to come to us and ask us for our support. That is all I have to say. Again, Roscoe, any last words?
No, Brittany, thank you. I really, as I will show you, unstoppable together with Pintard.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Roscoe, for tuning in. The pleasure is all mine. I look forward to having you back on the show again. Anytime, make sure you get me those stuff. Thank you so much.
I will get you. Thank you. Have a good night.
No
God
problem.
bless.
See ya. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Any problems, any stories, anything that you want Island Tea to know, please store our WhatsApp number. Hit us up, WhatsApp only, 8267033. Get your stories heard. Get your business, your flyers on Island Tea Live podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, follow, and subscribe to all of our pages. Adios.